You're watching No More News.
His business empire was crumbling.
The headline was quite accurate. Welcome to the 90s, Donald. Because it was like he got whacked right in the face. It was amazing.
His empire could be at risk of collapse if the New Jersey Casino Commission decides not to approve Trump's bailout plan.
By the fall of 1991, all 3 casinos had filed for bankruptcy.
You know, I had a wife who was suing me for $2 billion. I had the banks, I had this, I had that.
Back in the 1990s, you owed something like $900 million. Your empire was pretty
much more than that.
You owed more than that?
975 was personally guaranteed. That was just the small part. That was the harder debt. But I owed many, many billions of dollars.
The leverage shifted dramatically over to the banks, because it was no longer an issue of a bank and a piece of real estate. It was a bank in Donald Trump's actual survival.
Trump owed money all over town, to 72 banks in all. Pomerantz represented them as a group.
How close was he to going personally bankrupt?
Very.
Trump makes a point of saying he never went personally bankrupt. But there's a reason why the banks decided to keep Trump whole.
We made the decision that he would be worth more alive to us than dead. Dead meaning in bankruptcy. We don't want him to be in bankruptcy. We want him out in the world selling these assets for us.
So you wanted him alive because he was a salesman and could best sell his own properties.
That's correct. We kept him alive.
I think bankers look at Trump as a promoter, not as a CEO. At least that's the way I looked at him, and if you talk to other bankers, I think they share that opinion. He's a wonderful promoter. He's the P.T. Barnum of the 21st century.
Donald Trump may have pulled off his biggest deal to date.
Donald Trump had survived. He was too big to fail.
The bankers do not want Trump to file for bankruptcy.
There is this very influential small group, relatively small group of Jewish donors who give a disproportionate amount of the money to the Republican Party.
Casino mogul Sheldon Adelson. He's worth an estimated $30 billion. And in fact, in 2012, he already spent $100 million in his attempt to defeat Barack Obama.
A season in politics now known as the Adelson primary. Republican presidential hopefuls eager to attract support and maybe millions from casino mogul Sheldon Adelson.
I am not Israeli. The uniform that I wore in the military, unfortunately, was not an Israeli uniform. It was an American uniform. Although my wife was in the IDF, and one of my daughters was in the IDF, and my two little boys, one of whom will be bar mitzvah tomorrow. Hopefully he'll come back. Thank you. Hopefully he'll come back. His hobby is shooting, and he'll come back and be a sniper for the IDF. All we care about is being good Zionists, being good citizens of Israel. All we care about is being good Zionists, good citizens of Israel.
That victory would not have come without one other person besides Donald Trump, Sheldon Adelson. It is not about resources. It's about counsel, guidance, and wisdom. Sheldon Adelson didn't cut and run. Sheldon Adelson had Donald Trump's back. Sheldon Adelson offered guidance and counsel and wisdom of how to get through it. He was there for Donald Trump about how to comport oneself and how to dig down deep. And it was his guidance and his wisdom to help get us through. I am proud to stand with the state of Israel. That's why I'm proud to be a Christian Zionist. That's why I'm proud to be a partner to one of the greatest nations on earth and the foundation of the Judeo-Christian West. I want to thank you, and I'm proud to be a Christian Zionist. Thank you.
He has really become a leading donor and a leading figure in this hawkish, pro-Israel, conservative sort of circle that is so influential in American politics.
And the new embassy may not have happened if it weren't for the man many call the godfather of the Republican Party. Billionaire casino magnate Sheldon Adelson. There he is in the front row with his wife, Miriam. There she is. He was instrumental in persuading Trump to make the move. Adelson is worth around $40 billion U.S.
According to Bloomberg.
You're the 10th richest man in the world.
10th, maybe but think about that. There's 7 billion people. That means there's 6,999,990,000 people that are not at my level.
Why is Adelson so driven on these causes, the mostly Israeli causes?
He is a cause donor. It's been really his animating political issue behind his donations for some time.
The billionaire uses his fortune to influence a lot of policy. He's the GOP's biggest donor, shelling out about $100 million to elect Trump and other Republicans in 2016.
People are scared to some extent to cross him because they fear that if they anger him and fall out of favor with him, that his fund, not only funding from him will dry up, but funding from this larger circle of Jewish American donors who give a lot of money in Republican politics.
became one of the most politically connected lawyers in the nation.
The last 2 decades of his career were marred, however, by allegations of fraud, blackmail, and perjury.
Roy Cohn is the single most evil person I have ever covered. If that's a magnet for you as a young man, it says you're soulless before you start.
Donald Trump is probably one of the most important names in America today. Is, as I say, the closest thing to a genius I've ever met in my life.
I'm a very stable genius.
None of the collusion narrative has been proven here except with respect to Israel, a very inconvenient area for Russiagate enthusiasts.
How does Israel play into all of this?
Well, Israel's central in this, and what we're looking at is actually Israelgate.
The man on the right with Trump at the hotel launch party, Felix Sater, a twice-convicted felon once tied to organized crime and a massive stock scam, someone Trump now maintains he barely knows. In his videotaped testimony obtained by ABC News, Trump said he could not even recall what Sater looked like.
If he were sitting in the room right now, I really wouldn't know what he looked like.
Sater, an executive at a real estate company, was actively involved in a number of proposed deals with Trump. Here they were together in Denver in 2005. And in 2010, 3 years after Sater's mob ties became public, the Trump Organization issued Sater business cards identifying him as a senior advisor to Donald Trump, with a Trump Organization email address and phone number.
Why didn't you go to Felix Sater and say, you're connected with the mafia, you're fired?
Well, 2 years ago, Trump cut short a BBC interview after being pressed about Sater.
I hate to do this, but I do have that big group of people waiting, so I have to.
Okay, now hold on, one last question.
Trump later said under oath he did not remember being interviewed by the BBC.
Do you recall doing the interview?
No, I don't.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Green here with NoMoreNews.org. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2020, and today we're going to be talking about Trump's criminal banker Wall Street wolf pack and the latest coronavirus stimulus bailout that they're doing with the major corporation BlackRock and the Federal Reserve and some of the swamp creatures and economic advisors that Trump has surrounded himself with. It's going to be some shocking connections here. Secret societies, Carlyle Group, Skull and Bones, a lot of shady connections here. So this is the story we're covering. Headline out of the New York Times: the Federal Reserve asks for BlackRock's help in an echo of 2008. So there's a lot of similar names and faces that we saw in the crash of 2008 with the mortgage-backed derivatives and securities. BlackRock will advise the Federal Reserve on the purchase of billions of dollars in bonds and securities. The terms of the agreement were not disclosed. Let's get, now we're going to lead off with Alex Jones's take on the situation. This was Jones reacting to the news about BlackRock and the Federal Reserve.
I'm getting chills right now. President Trump has taken bold action that only two other presidents attempted, both Lincoln and JFK. And you know what happened to both of them. The private...
So serious, you know what happened to them. Trump has taken on the Fed. This is what Alex Jones says. Trump has taken on the Fed and he might get assassinated like Lincoln or JFK.
The private run-for-profit Federal Reserve was established in 1913 by a consortium of foreign banks. That's on record. And in 2013, we saw 100 years of the criminal organization that had taken the United States from 10% growth rates every year to below 2% on average, and siphoned off our money and our wealth and parlayed it into a global government and a communist Chinese system they established to completely.
A communist Chinese system. Yeah, who's running the system?
Destroy the United States economically so that we would wake up homeless on the continent our forebears conquered. Well, now President Trump has quietly done it. And even Bloomberg and other publications admit that he's actually carried it out. Trump has taken over the private Federal Reserve.
There it is. Trump has taken over the private Federal Reserve. Mr. Anti-New World Order, supposedly, Alex Jones, Mr. Anti-Federal Reserve, is now saying that Trump took over the Federal Reserve, and we're going to show you in this video how much of a preposterous lie that is. A dangerous, deceptive, sycophantic lie from Alex Jones.
Here. Trump has taken over the private Federal Reserve by putting heads into the different branch banks that actually follow his orders. It was only the president in the Federal Reserve Act that could override the private run-for-profit Federal Reserve.
Okay, so there's Jones' take, and we're going to show you how ridiculous that is. So, BlackRock, a BlackRock subsidiary, will advise the Federal Reserve on the purchase of billions of dollars in commercial mortgage-backed securities and investment-grade corporate bonds, a decision that echoed a move from 2008 financial crisis. So in 2008, Alex Jones and InfoWars had Obama Deception Part 2, which was exposing the banker bailouts and the housing collapse. And people like Geithner and Paulson and Goldman Sachs. But now Jones is lying and saying that just like QAnon narrative, Trump has taken over the Federal Reserve. He is taking out the deep state. Just ridiculous BS lies. It's just there. It's the same thing. It's this whole coronavirus is just basically a cover for a big economic reset, a crash, organized consolidation and takeover. So many benefits that are coming out of this. The tracking, the cell phone tracking, the cashless society, the mandatory medical tyranny, vaccinations, and these huge bailouts, putting small businesses out of business. BlackRock's dominant position in the stock and bonds market, and with it its influence over Wall Street, has only grown in the past decade. The firm now manages nearly $7 trillion in assets. The Fed has not yet posted a copy of the contract it signed with BlackRock, though it plans to disclose more details. The central bank was slow to disclose the specific terms of its agreement with BlackRock during the last crisis, I assume in 2008, and even today the full details of what the firm earned have not been disclosed. And we have QAnon promoters like Jordan Sather here is retweeting this Yahoo Finance article, and he says that the economy is going to be just fine because they say Trump is the new Fed chairman, is what they say in this Yahoo News article. The Fed's headline, the Fed's, and this is March 27th, a few days ago, the Fed's cure risks being worse than the disease. And it talks about their scheme here, this bailout, banker bailout scheme that the Fed and Mnuchin and BlackRock are doing. The Fed will finance a special purpose vehicle for each acronym to conduct these operations. The Treasury, using the exchange, you guys, most people have probably turned their ears off already on this, will make an equity investment in the SPC in the first loss position. What does this mean? In essence, the Treasury, not the Fed, is buying all these securities and backstopping of loans. The Fed is acting as banker and providing financing. The Fed hired BlackRock Inc. to purchase these securities and handle the administration of the SPVs on behalf of the owner of the Treasury. Yeah, how many Americans are going to understand what's going on here? Basically, it's them printing money and giving it to their buddies and bailing out the too big to fails. They profit on the good times, and then they get bailed out with the tax dollars and just printing money out of nothing in the bad times. BlackRock will be doing the trades. The scheme essentially merges the Fed and Treasury into one organization. So meet your new Fed chairman, Donald Trump. So that's what they're running with here. But we're going to show you some background on BlackRock and all the shady people connected to that and Trump. Here's an Investigate Europe video and site. The company that owns the world is how they're described, BlackRock. And it's like the symbolism of the name. Black rock actually came out of black stone, and then there's black cube. There's the black cubes that they wear on their foreheads in Chabad Lubavitch. There's the black cube that they march around in Mecca, the Muslims, and it's essentially goes back to Saturn worship. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager with 7.4 trillion in assets under management as of end quarter 4. And I believe there's only, I think, 16. No, that's not right. I'm not sure, because we're 20 trillion in debt, you know. BlackRock operates globally with 70 offices. That's interesting. The 70, like the 70 nations of the Sanhedrin and the 7 Noahide laws. 70 offices, I mean, just sticks out. 70 nations that they want to have of the Zionist New World Order. BlackRock has been called the world's largest shadow bank. Oh, sounds like a great company for the Fed to be working with. I'm sure Trump is really taking over the Fed, working with these companies. And that was The Economist, which is Rothschild owned. I've seen articles online from blogs and stuff that Blackstone is a front for the Rothschilds. So it was created in 1988 by Larry Fink, Robert S. Caputo, Wagner, and Ralph Schlosstein. Go into some of these. Ralph Schlosstein here is a member at the Council on Foreign Relations. So, I'm sure Trump is really exposing stuff. Caputo. Oh, let's see. Do we have Caputo? Caputo is another co-founder, BlackRock Investment. So many people here are of the same ethnicity, if you catch my drift. This co-founder of BlackRock in 2012 received the Levy Award from the United Jewish Appeal Federation of New York for his donations. So that's one of the founders of BlackRock. And here's the other one, Lawrence D. Fink. We'll get into him, but we'll read his wiki first. He's worth $1 billion. Another Jewish family. Fink is a member of Kappa Beta Phi, which is a secret society, an elite Wall Street secret society, which I'll get more to in a second. Let me go back. Oops. Continuing with the founders here, just in case I didn't miss any of my highlights. Okay, did a lot of research in these. Okay, so Fink and Caputo, those are the names we're supposed to look into. Here's Fink. Fink was instrumental in the creation and development of the mortgage-backed security market in the United States. That's what caused the housing crash, basically. These mortgage-backed securities and the derivatives and the adjustable loans. And they knew what they were doing too. It was a criminals knew what they were doing, and then they got bailed out when the House of Cards collapsed. And now all the same people are handing out more bailouts under Trump. Fink helped to negotiate the resignation of CEO of the New York Stock Exchange, Richard Grasso, who was criticized for his $190 million pay package. Talking about serious Wall Street titans, wolves, crony capitalists, the swampiest Wall Street mafia people out there. Those are all Trump's. It's bankster's paradise with Trump in power. The U.S. government contracted with BlackRock to help clean up after the financial meltdown of 2008. And Fink's long-standing relationship with senior government officials had led to potential conflict of interest regarding government contracts. Oh, yeah. Fink was ranked 28th in the Forbes most powerful people in the world. In 2016, Fink joined a business forum assembled by then-President-elect Donald Trump to provide strategic and policy advice on economic issues. I shouldn't say that. And Fink is a lifelong supporter of the Democratic Party, to top it all off. Very similar to Kushner, and Trump was always a Democrat as well. So we have Larry Flink's $12 trillion shadow, a Vanity article. Vanity Fair. It's hard to argue that anyone or any firm on Wall Street gained as much stature from the economic crisis as did Fink and BlackRock. At the height of the disaster when the American economy was on the brink, it was Fink that Wall Street CEOs, including J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon, Morgan Stanley, AIG, turned up for help and counsel, as did the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve Bank and of New York, whose top official turned to Fink for advice on the financial markets and assisting on the $30 billion financing on the sale of Bear Stearns to J.P. Morgan, the bailout of AIG, and I believe Maurice Greenberg is involved with that, $45 billion rescue of Citigroup, and those of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac at $112 billion and growing. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will come up again in an interesting way later on here. And BlackRock has effectively become the leading manager of Washington's bailout of Wall Street. And now we're just having another repeat, another bailout of everybody. Fink's friend Ken Langone, the co-founder of Home Depot, the other founder of Home Depot, Bernard Marcus, is a huge Zionist and a huge Trump supporter, and a former director of the New York Stock Exchange. He's like, they call Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, like the Wizard of Oz, or the man behind the curtain, says Cohn. Such a long article here about these guys. Here we go. Fink has responded bitterly to this characterization, blaming it on the snobbery of Wall Street's WASP investment bankers who looked down on the Jewish and Italian traders who were allowed to succeed in the mortgage bond business only. He says, quote, because we weren't really wanted anywhere else. So, oh yeah, the big Wall Street disproportionately Jewish bankers that are giving each other Federal Reserve bailouts, yeah, they're the victims. They won't want it anywhere. And the WASP are being snobbery to them. If it gets an idea of their possible Gentile hatred that they have. Even if they're not practicing, they've still got a strong identity, in-group, out-group preference. And sorry if I'm giving anybody a seizure. Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, endorsed both Paulson and Geithner, who were both Treasury secretaries under, I think, Bush and Obama, and I believe they were both Goldman Sachs as well, oversaw the huge criminal bailouts, who he says will come out in history as two of our best Treasury secretaries. So, ugh. Okay, so the subprime mortgage crisis, that's what these guys, the housing bubble preceded the crisis was financed with mortgage-backed securities. So these guys are behind the crisis and then gave each other the bailouts. Fink belongs to this secret society. Now we're going to get into them. Kappa Beta Phi, secret society best known for its Wall Street chapter. Best known for its Wall Street chapter. This is crazy, guys. Wait till you hear about this secret society and hear who's in it. And then realize how laughable it is that Alex Jones is pushing that Trump is taking out the Federal Reserve, taking over the Federal Reserve. So check this out. It was founded in 1776, like the United States, and like Adam Weishaupt's Bavarian Illuminati. God, I can't talk, Anita. Members of this Wall Street secret society: Michael Bloomberg, John Corzine, who is a senator, and Bloomberg made his money all off of Wall Street, screwing people. Corzine, Goldman Sachs, New Jersey governor, got in big trouble with the world, some kind of world fund he had. Here's Lawrence Fink. There's BlackRock. Of course, they're all connected with the secret society. Wilbur Ross. Interesting that he's here because that's the Rothschild banker that bailed out Trump in the early 90s. And he's in this secret society with the leader of BlackRock. How about that? What are the odds? What are the odds? And Mnuchin from Goldman Sachs, Trump's Treasury Secretary, he's not in this secret society. No, he's in Skull and Bones, as if that's any better. Yeah, I'm not kidding. So more on Wilbur Ross later. We have Mary Shapiro. These are the purple ones are the ones I'm supposed to click on that have highlights. She's the first woman to be permanent chair of the SEC. So that's who's in this little secret society group. Let's see, do I have any other highlights? We have Sanford Wheel, former CEO of Citigroup. And now these are in this secret society. Sanford Weil, philanthropist, I'm sure. Sandy, he's worth $1 billion. Again, Jewish immigrants, New York. And let's see, where's my highlight? He became a Class A director of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So it's just like a revolving door, no oversight. The fox guarding the hen house. He was the director of the Federal Reserve. Let's see. This is so funny. In 2011, the Rambam, so Maimonides, Chabad Lubavitch's top rabbi, Medical Center in Haifa, Israel, and the American Friends of Ramban Medical Center announced that the Weil family donated $10 million. So he's a friend of Ramban and Maimonides. That's who's in this secret society connected to BlackRock. John C. Whitehead, another member. I mean, the resumes on this, guys, it's like the who's who. John C. Whitehead was an American banker and board member of the World Trade Center Memorial Foundation, investment banker, Goldman Sachs, where he quickly became a partner in the firm. Wonder if it had anything to do with the secret society that he's in. He was a director of the New York Stock Exchange. Talk about the influence that the people in this society meetups have. He was closely associated with David Rockefeller. He supported Joe Lieberman, who is a Jewish VP candidate and senator, and spoke at a Chabad Lubavitch event. Big Chabad Lubavitch. He's a member of the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. Think of the influence of this group. And last one, Richard S. Fuld. Let's check out Fuld. American banker, Lehman Brothers. Time magazine list of 25 people to blame for the financial crisis. CNN named Fuld as one of the 10 most wanted culprits of the financial crisis of 2007, 2008. They all got bailed out by their buddies. Such a racket. The financial system is so rigged, so pathetic. It's the root of all the problems is the money. This guy's connected to Cohn, Loeb and Company. They were I want to say Jacob Schiff used them to fund the Bolshevik Revolution and take out the Tsar in Russia. Yeah, great. And let's see, here we go. Richard Fuld was portrayed by James Woods, who's a big Trump supporter on Twitter, in the 2011 Too Big to Fail, these banker documentaries, and Inside Job, which is another documentary that talks about the crisis, 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so those are the people in the secret society. I think I got all of them. And what's here? Mary Shapiro, we covered her. Wheel, Whitehead. Okay, so now it gets a little more interesting. Put your tinfoil hats on a little bit. We have Phi Beta Kappa, established original Phi Beta Kappa, like the Masonic order, idealistic and spiritual in purpose between 1776 and 781. That's from the book. Where is the book? Oh, The Illuminated History of Phi Beta Kappa and Other College Fraternities. And then we have this one, Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati. The strength, December 5th, 1776, opened up the first branch of the Illuminati using his own students, Phi Beta Kappa. And there's Skull and Bones also, which Mnuchin is in Skull and Bones. Did you guys know Mnuchin was Skull and Bones? I wasn't even aware of that. Phi Beta Kappa. Oops. Kappa Beta Phi. So it's opposite. Phi Beta Kappa, Kappa Beta Phi. Hope I'm saying that right. Hope it's not Phi. Okay. Next we have, and this isn't like a conspiracy group, Daily Intelligence or New York Mag revealed the full membership of the list of Wall Street's secret society. And a lot of the names here, it talks about Wilbur Ross and the whole list. I've already gone through some of the most influential ones they have on linked on Wikipedia. Here's New York again. The 1% jokes and plutocrats in drag. Yeah, they wear drag at their meetups. What I saw when I crashed a Wall Street secret society. The 1% is being picked on for political reasons, says Wilbur Ross. The Rothschild banker and Treasury Secretary Wilbur Ross says the 1% are being picked on. Don't you feel so bad for them? They cry out in pain as they rule the world. The secret Wall Street fraternity Kappa Beta Phi. I'd heard whisperings about the existence of Kappa Beta Phi, whose members include both incredibly successful financiers, Bloomberg, Goldman Sachs, John Whitehead, hedge fund billionaire Tudor Jones, and incredibly unsuccessful ones, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, and MF Global flameout John Corzine. It was a secret fraternity founded at the beginning of the Great Depression that functioned as sort of a one-percenters friars club. Any way you count, this was one of the most powerful groups of business executives in the world. And here they are, their neophyte class in 2012. Look at them all dressed up in dresses, in drag. The new inductees, like a hazing, all of whom were required to dress in leotards and gold sequin skirts with costume wigs, began their variety show acts. Of course. Let's see. All right. And this is so Jones says Trump has taken over the Federal Reserve, lying to his audience that he thinks is retarded with his disinfo. And then, but we have here headline, groups raise alarm over Fed BlackRock debt buying deal. Organizations see potential conflicts of interest and lack of transparency in virus response program. A collection of 30 investors and sustainability-focused groups have raised concern in a letter to the Federal Reserve over potential conflicts of interest and lack of transparency and oversight in the recent agreement between the central bank and BlackRock. On March 24th, the Fed announced BlackRock as investment manager and advisor for 3 new programs aimed at supporting the U.S. economy amid COVID-19 pandemic. So other people are complaining. I'm sounding the whistle, but you got the Trump shills like Alex Jones. Continue without supporting us. How Trump supporting BlackRock is profiting in a time of crisis. Not only is BlackRock the largest investor in the private prison companies, GEO Group and CoreCivic, but they promote a roughly $3 million defense fund locked and loaded full of weapons made by Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing Defense. So they are heavily invested in not just the military-industrial complex and private prisons, but all the pharmaceutical companies that are ramping up production to build or to manufacture the miracle drug that Trump and all the Zionists have been touting for coronavirus. Financial Times, Fed's big boost for BlackRock raises eyebrows on Wall Street. BlackRock, they're doing $1.5 billion in trading, represents about $2.3 million of fees for the asset management giant, and it was all thanks to the Federal Reserve. All 3 programs will be overseen by BlackRock. Fed has already indirectly shaped markets to BlackRock's benefit. It is, quote, "It is truly outrageous," said one asset management executive who declined to speak on the record due to BlackRock's influence on Wall Street. Quote, "BlackRock will be managing a fund and deciding if they want to use taxpayer money to purchase ETFs they manage. There's probably 100 to 200 managers who could do this, but BlackRock was chosen." No bid contracts. The government gives BlackRock these no bid contracts. In the last decade, BlackRock has hired extensively from types of public organizations it seeks to serve in the FMA unit. BlackRock's vice chairman is Stanley Fischer, former vice chairman of the Federal Reserve. Just a revolving door. Stanley Fischer, former vice chairman of the Federal Reserve, is an Israeli-American economist and former vice chairman of the Federal Reserve. He has dual citizenship with Israel. He served as governor of the Bank of Israel from 2005 to 2013, which he was also the vice chairman of the Federal Reserve from 14 to 17. Oh, I guess that was right after. Okay. So he left the Bank of Israel to come work at our Federal Reserve. Yeah. That's how bad it is. And he previously served as chief economist at the World Bank as well. Again, born into a Jewish family. They'll say it's a trope, even though it's literally in the Torah. That's how I'll show you at the end, the verses from the Torah about the usury and enslavement of the other nations. Fisher was born into a Jewish family where he became active in the Habanim Zionist youth movement. In 1960, he visited Israel as part of a winter program for youth leaders and studied Hebrew at kibbutz. It's a Jewish commune, religious Talmudic commune. Or communist also. He had originally planned to study at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And he works at BlackRock. Fisher was appointed governor of the Bank of Israel in January 2005 by the Israeli cabinet after being recommended by Prime Minister Ariel Sharon and Netanyahu. He's Netanyahu's guy working in the Federal Reserve. How about that? Fisher became an Israeli citizen in 2005, but did not renounce his U.S. citizenship. Ain't that nice? Isn't that nice? These are the guys that are printing the money and handing it out. He is a member of the Bilderberg Group. Of course, another Bilderberg grouper. He is a distinguished fellow in the Council on Foreign Relations as well. So, Federal Reserve, BlackRock. I mean, does it get any swampier than this? Trump said he wasn't going to hire any lobbyists and then filled Trump's fighting the deep state and the cabal. He's taking on the Federal Reserve. I heard it on Alex Jones. Vanity Fair. Experts, Trump. Okay, so now we're moving on to this miracle drug and how it connects to BlackRock in a shocking, possibly nefarious, conspiratorial way. I don't know. We'll have to see. Vanity Fair says, experts, Trump touting of an untested, quote, game-changer coronavirus drug is dangerous. Elon Musk is promoting it. First, the Breitbart, and this is chloroquine for coronavirus. First, Breitbart and Blaze, the most Zionist media outlets out there, and Fox News and Tucker Carlson started promoting it, saying that it had a 100% cure rate. And where are they getting the stats for the 100% cure rate? None other than a Chabad Lubavitch rabbi in New York, where the epicenter of coronavirus is. Doctor claims to have new solution for treating coronavirus. He did this video message for Donald Trump, and he's being propped up by all the Zionists everywhere. A Jewish doctor's off, and this is the Jewish Forward, March 26. A Jewish doctor's off-label virus treatment is now being used in multiple states and being pushed everywhere. Trump had previously described the drug as possibly a, quote, gift from God. Zelenko said his clinic near Hasidic, that's Chabad Lubavitch, village in Orange County, New York, had given the drug cocktail to more than 500 patients and none required hospitalization. But did they get better? Did they all heal? Drug might have a marginal benefit in fighting coronavirus, but it's not a silver bullet, essentially, is what this other doctor says. And there's a lot of known side effects. And it's creating a shortage for people that use it for lupus and other illnesses. So they're having to ramp up production, and it's all BlackRock-owned companies that are doing it. The data is unlimited. Oracle and Kushner are involved with tracking to see how well this works. I'm sure they're going to say that it's safe and effective and promote it for everybody. Crown Heights doctor, Joseph also said he's been in touch with a Crown Heights doctor. That's Chabad Lubavitch, home base. Their headquarters is in Crown Heights. Doctor treated hundreds of patients with the drug. What are the odds that the drug that they're ramping up and pushing everywhere is going to be connected to Chabad and BlackRock? The same one doing the big bailout right now. One study of 30 patients from China recently concluded that this drug, hydroxychloroquine, provided no discernible benefit, but they're moving ahead, and there's an effort on Twitter and on Fox News to promote this drug heavily. Dr. Vladimir Zelenko has now treated 699 coronavirus patients with 100% success using hydroxychloroquine, sulfate, zinc, and Z-Pak. So he claims 100%. The miracle cure. Is a Chabad Lubavitch doctor going to heal the world? Are they going to come out with the vaccine first? Tikkun Olam, heal the world like the prophecy says? Are they going to force mandatory vaccine that everybody gets it? Are they going to push this drug on anybody that gets any kind of sickness? Are many people going to have side effects? Is there going to be Trojan horses in the vaccine or in these drugs that are being produced? Donald Trump reportedly ignoring medical experts after Jared Kushner touts experimental treatments. I assume they're talking about hydroxychloroquine. Jared Kushner is championing experimental treatments over the advice of their own experts. Sorry, that was so loud. Freaking pop-ups. Ruining my videos. Pop-ups. Inquisitor. Okay, I'm giving people seizures. Jared is bringing conspiracy theories to Trump about potential treatments. Kushner reportedly told Trump that the pandemic isn't as big a deal as it's being made out to be, and the information is apparently what the president wants to hear. Weirdest commercials on these sites. Okay. Giuliani is promoting it on Fox News. Giuliani also interviewed the doctor on his podcast. Look, 500,000 views almost. He's heavily promoting the vaccine as well. Giuliani is also very heavily Chabad connected. Wanted to mention that. And he's also 9/11 connected. There's a lot of people associated with 9/11 and the anthrax attacks, and some of the simulations they were running for 2001, they were doing now too, some of the same people. Giuliani's pushing it hard. Dr. Oz is promoting it with Hannity on Fox News. And remember,
Dr. Oz spoke to COVID-19 patients.
Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is Rupert Murdoch he talks to Rupert Murdoch, quote, every day. Jared Kushner talks to Fox News chairman Rupert Murdoch every day, asks him for advice. Not an non-biased news, objective news site. Trump exposed the lying fake media. Yeah, well, he promotes Hannity and Fox and Friends. Okay, Dr. Oz is promoting this drug, and remember, Dr. Oz also helped promote Trump and get Trump elected. 2016, Trump came on his show to release his medical records, where he said I'm the healthiest guy ever in the world, just a little bit overweight. Horrible impression. And there's a lot of people disputing the effectiveness of this drug. Los Angeles Times, the suspect science behind Trump's hydroxychloroquine claims. There's a shortage for it. And then I'm going to get into the companies real quick. Okay, now the companies. So FDA issues emergency authorization of anti-malaria drug for coronavirus care. So the Food and FDA on Sunday, this is Sunday, just the most recent Sunday, the 30th, issued an emergency use authorization for the drug, decades-old malaria drugs championed by Donald Trump for coronavirus treatment despite scant evidence. Scientists in America and around the world have identified multiple potential therapeutics for COVID-19, including chloroquine, says Alex Azar, who is a huge Eli Lilly executive, big pharmaceutical company, Eli Lilly, and he was also he was a top lobbyist for the pharmaceutical industry, and he was responsible for overseeing the non-investigation of the anthrax attacks from 2001. All right. We have, boom, the emergency use allowed. The FDA is allowing hydroxychloroquine, and the Health and Human Services is accepting donations. The U.S. Department of Health, where are we? The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services accepted 30 million doses of hydroxychloroquine by Sandoz, the Novartis Generics Division, and 1 million doses by Bayer Pharmaceuticals. So those are the first two companies that have donated to give to all the Americans as fast as they can, I guess. So that's Sandoz and Bayer. First company, Novartis, so Sandoz, Novartis. You can see here... BlackRock. Novartis biggest owners, the Sandoz family, Capital Research Investors, and Vanguard Group. BlackRock, their number one investor. The biggest owner of Novartis that's donating the drugs is also BlackRock. What are the odds? And Bayer's largest shareholder is fund manager BlackRock as well. So BlackRock has voting power in these corporations because they're top owners of it. They own most of the stocks, and they represent other people's investments. So that's Novartis, Bayer, they're two that are donating. And then now we have Teva, they're donating as well. Teva donates potential coronavirus treatment to hospitals across the U.S. Hydroxychloroquine tablets. They donated, the Israeli pharmaceutical company has announced that it will donate more than 6 million doses. Interesting, the 6 million number there. We see that so often, that sacred 6 million. And they're also going to come out with 10 million tablets later on, and they're going to be donating them. Donates potential 6 million. So Teva, the Israeli company, let's see who's behind them. First of all, Teva's investment here. They have 666 institutional owners. Is this number just random, or is it stuck on this? They have 666 investors in this company for a specific reason, because they love gematria. Is this why Kushner bought 666 Fifth Avenue? Teva Pharmaceuticals, 666 institutional investors, 13 F forms with the Security and Exchange Commission, and BlackRock is one of the top owners here in Teva as well. BlackRock, but Capital Research Global Investors, and by the way, remember, Capital Research Global Investors is one of the top investors in Novartis as well. And who is behind Capital Research Global Investors? The number one stockholder? Oh, and BlackRock's on here as well too. Well, Capital Research Global Investors is owned by Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac, who is involved with the housing crisis. Freddie Mac, who the leadership there is in the secret society with Fink from BlackRock. By far, they own the most shares, too, of this investment company. And Freddie Mac gave a questionable major loan to Jared Kushner recently. Elizabeth Warren, I think it's Elizabeth Warren, yeah. Elizabeth Warren asked if Kushner got special treatment on Freddie Mac loan. How about that? Why does Freddie Mac own Capital Research Investors, own an Israeli pharmaceutical company? Trust the plan, guys. Trust the plan. Now, we want to freak out even more? Check this out. So this is Teva. Oh, wait, no. Go back one. This is Teva. We're going to search for BlackRock and see they're one of the top owners. We're going to see some of the trades that they were making in March. March 25th, BlackRock. There's a bunch of trades here. Oops. Some of them are blocked, but check out some of these trades that they're doing. That's 2004, lots of trades all month, and one of them's huge. Here's this huge one. We have February 13th, 2020, BlackRock Inc. bought 36 million shares in Teva Pharmaceutical, the Israeli pharmaceutical company. That's $8 a share. Do the math on that. That means in February, the beginning of February, BlackRock invested $300 million into Teva Pharmaceutical. Teva Pharmaceutical is ramping up production of this miracle drug that all the Zionists are promoting right now for coronavirus. $300 million investment. And then you can see here, oops, call, and then, oh wait, that's, I don't know why it's showing other stuff besides black. Oh, here we go too. And then on the same day, they did a put option, which means they bet that it was going to go down. This is, I think, a way to hedge their bets to a degree. And that's all blocked. You can't see. $300 million investment from BlackRock into Teva Pharmaceutical. And that's who's donating. 6 million doses with 666 investors. I mean, pretty crazy. Kushner's getting the loan from Freddie Mac for his bailouts of he's a slum millionaire, billionaire, I should say. There's a documentary about him on Netflix right now, exposing that. Teva rushes to bring malaria drug to coronavirus patients. The Israeli drug maker shares rose at the announcement. This is their executive for America at Teva. We are committed to helping to supply as many tablets as possible as demand for this treatment accelerates at no cost. All of these bankers in BlackRock, with all this 666 and weird stuff going on, they're going to donate the drug at no cost out of the goodness of their hearts. Imagine that. And BlackRock is in charge of this bailout with the Fed. Quote, immediately upon learning of the potential benefit of hydroxychloroquine, Teva began to assess supply and to urgently acquire additional ingredients to make more product while arranging for all of what we had to be distributed immediately. And then BlackRock was investing in them heavily. And now we have so more than a dozen generic drug makers, including Teva, Mylan, Novartis, which is Sandoz, are manufacturing. So we cover them. They're BlackRock. Teva's BlackRock. And then Mylan. Mylan's another pharmaceutical company. I wonder who's behind Mylan. Can anybody take a guess who's the biggest investor in Mylan? None other than BlackRock. BlackRock Inc. 43 million shares at $8 a share. And I guess a skeptic could say, oh, well, they're just, the biggest investing company. They own majority of all the companies. Well, yeah, they do. But all the pharmaceutical companies, leading shareholder in all of them, how is this capitalism? How is this a good system to allow this kind of control for these bankers on Wall Street? That Trump is completely swimming in the swamp with these guys. They made him. They bailed him out. He owes them everything, as I'm going to show you here in a second. And now check out. So this is Mylan. Let's check out the BlackRock investments in here. No investments since December 2019. Let's see if there's any big ones though. They're still the leading. How about that? And now to get even crazier, put your tinfoil hat on. Billionaire pharma couple found murdered on the railings around their indoor swimming pool discuss giving their fortune away by backing Bill Gates' giving pledge days before their deaths. So maybe it was their heirs, their kids that killed them. They didn't want all their inheritance given away to Bill Gates. But these people, these billionaire pharma couple, they made generic drugs, and mostly this drug, hydroxychloroquine. And they got killed. Now, there was the big bailout. The only congressman to oppose it was Thomas Massie. And immediately after that, the Republican Jewish coalition endorsed his primary opponent. So they're going to get him out because apparently this was their bailout. And they're the ones that stand to benefit. And they're the ones that are angry. It kind of reminds me of there was a Jewish group, I think in Germany, saying, we need our own Fox News in Germany. Meaning, which implies that they feel that Fox News is theirs in America as well. But that's a side issue. ADL was lobbying for this stimulus bailout to include charities like all of their friends, the philanthropists. They need more money for their donations to scam America, like the ADL. They wanted relief for charities, and they got it. Times of Israel Jewish leaders say 2.2 trillion stimulus offers community-needed assistance. And we have the Orthodox Union was among a handful of Jewish organizations, including the Jewish Federation of North America, JCC, and other charities in signing a letter to Congress requesting $60 billion to maintain charitable nonprofits. Why do nonprofit charities need to be bailed out for $60 billion? And you know they got that. All the people will be the first to be taken care of, and then for the rest of America, they just go, here's your $1,200 here. That'll do you. Keep quiet. Stay off the streets too. No protests allowed while we bail out all of our buddies. So, how crazy is that? BlackRock, the Fed, Trump invested, top investor in all of the pharmaceutical companies that are going to provide us with all the drugs and probably the vaccine that they're going to make mandatory. So we have investment news. Blackstone and BlackRock are starting to cross over into each other's bread and butter. So this is Steve Schwarzman, Larry Fink, BlackRock, Schwarzman, Blackstone, vie for Wall Street dominance. These are Trump's wolves of Wall Street. Both of them are his advisors. Schwarzman, Trump's China whisperer, reveals the extent of his role. So this is Blackstone. Schwarzman, again, every single time, Trump is hanging out with these billionaire friends to watch the midterm elections. CEO of Blackstone, Steve Schwarzman, and Sheldon Adelson. Just hanging out with a bunch of billionaires because, you know, Trump's for the people. And Alex Jones, I'm going to show you the clip. He says, Trump isn't, or all the billionaires are supporting Hillary, but he never talks about Sheldon Adelson or all the Zionist money, Russian money too. I'm going to show you a little Russian connection here. Schwarzman on end of Trump advisory group. CEOs came under excruciating pressure. So this is interesting to get. Charlotte backlash from Schwarzman. August 2017, after Trump's polarizing statements on the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, pressure began to mount on the members of the forum. This is this banker investment forum. I guess I can't understand why they're mad about Charlottesville. Schwarzman explained a number of big company CEOs came under pressure from, quote, very unhappy employees and customers. The corporate bailout doesn't include the limits Democrats promised. So this is the bailout, and the Democrats were promised some things, and it's not in there. $454 billion in the law for the larger firms will flow through Federal Reserve lending programs, and people close to the Fed says its top officials don't think they're required to force companies to get. Okay, people close to the Fed say its top officials don't think they're required to force companies that they get the money to keep workers on their payrolls. So these big companies and banks are getting bailouts, but there's nothing, no terms or conditions that they have to pay it to the employees or limit executive compensation or forego stock buybacks or dividends. So it's just a complete no strings attached bailout, banker bailout, pathetic. And now we have Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell, who was appointed by Trump, Hayden J. Powell. I wonder if he's swampy. What do you guys think? Sorry, my tailbone's hurting. I've been sitting a lot researching and editing the last few days. If you guys want to support No More News, donations are all below if you want to support independent media and value this content. So Jerome Powell, briefly served as Secretary of the Treasury for Domestic Finance under President George H.W. Bush in 1992. So, all those QAnon people that think Trump is against, the Bushes or the deep state, and that Trump is against them, maybe they have their little tiffs and they vie for power, but Trump appoints all of these Bush-era criminals. Federal Reserve Chair Powell was domestic finance under George H.W. Bush. And also William Barr, Trump's appointee, Attorney General. Come on. Was also worked for. So Donald Trump appointed him to be Attorney General. He was also George H.W. Bush's administration Attorney General. Such swamp draining. Trust the plan, guys. And it gets even worse. Powell, from 1997 to 2005, Powell was a partner at the Carlyle Group. I'm sure Alex Jones and all you conspiracy 9/11 truthers out there know about the Carlyle Group, American multinational private equity that was involved with 9/11. Remember the Bushes, the Bin Ladens meeting at the Carlyle Group event in Washington, D.C. right before 9/11? He's a member. And now he's the chairman of the Federal Reserve because Trump's taken over the Federal Reserve with Bush's former appointee and the guy in the Carlyle Group. Carlyle Group, one of the founders is David Rubenstein. And not to mention, we got Bush and the Bin Ladens involved. They were like weapons profiteer or military-industrial complex profiteers. They were building tanks and stuff, owned a bunch of different stuff. Carlyle Group. So that's where the Federal Reserve Chairman comes from. Rubenstein. Again, I mean, I'm not just only showing you the people. Council on Foreign Relations. So Powell was in Carlyle Group, and the founder is Council on Foreign Relations. Again, this is who Trump, according to Alex Jones, Trump is taking over the Fed with. Some of Trump's other... Stephen Roth. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of Trump's other economic advisors. List of economic advisors to Donald Trump. We've got Carl Icahn. Carl Icahn, 1980s, developed a reputation as a corporate raider. Icahn served as special economic advisor to financial regulations. The corporate raider was Trump's financial regulations advisor. Briefly in 2017, he left because of conflicts of interest. Duh. All these people are conflict of interest. Carl Icahn. Icahn endorsed Trump in 2016. He announced a super PAC, $150 million, to push corporate tax reform. Upon Trump became nominee, he was going to nominate Icahn, but then he went for Steve Mnuchin instead, who is also Goldman Sachs. He's worth $16.6 billion. Okay, so that's the first advisor. Oops. We have Steve Feinberg, who owns Cerebras, who owns DynCorp. DynCorp is a big military-industrial complex company. DynCorp, I believe they make the voting systems as well. I want to say that's DynCorp. And military stuff, I believe. All right, we have, what else? Trump named Feinberg to head the president's Intelligence Advisory Board. Feinberg was born to a Jewish family, again, every single time. And now we have next Stephen Mnuchin and Wilbur Ross. So let's show you Mnuchin. A little bit on Mnuchin. He's Trump's, he was a lifer at Goldman Sachs, 17 years at Goldman Sachs. This is who's running our economy now, basically. Secretary of the Treasury nominated by Donald Trump. Long history with Goldman Sachs. He's a film producer. He produced Michael Moore's documentaries, some of them. So did Kushner. At Yale, Mnuchin was publisher of the Yale Daily News and was also initiated into Skull and Bones in 1985. Like the Bushes and John Kerry were both in Skull and Bones. Mnuchin. Did you guys know that Mnuchin was Skull and Bones? I didn't. I wonder what Alex Jones thinks about that. The Goldman Sachs, Skull and Bones, Federal Reserve, BlackRock, that's who's taken over the Fed. And Jones is giving cover for the Baker scheme, the Baker swindle. He established a capital investment company with George Soros. How about that? In 2002, Mnuchin and George Soros. Well, George Soros has done lots of investment over the years with the Kushner family as well, and with Donald Trump. But QAnon, they're getting that Soros. Mnuchin had donated $4,000 to Kamala Harris, Democrat. Give me a break. He went from Kamala Harris in 2016 to Donald Trump. Mnuchin worked with Republican National Committee counterpart Louis Eisenberg. And now I got to go show you Louis Eisenberg as well. Let me just make sure. He's got a long one. Okay, Louis Eisenberg. Louis Eisenberg was chairman of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey at the time of the September 11th, 2001 attacks. And now he's the ambassador to Italy. Again, Jewish family. Goldman Sachs. During his term at the Port Authority, his most notable achievement was the negotiation of the long-term lease with Larry Silverstein for the World Trade Center. And that's Port Authority of New York. So yeah, Netanyahu is making weekly phone calls with Silverstein, Larry Silverstein, who took control of the World Trade Center 6 weeks before 9/11. Donald Trump is close friends with Silverstein. And the guy at the Port Authority, Lou Eisenberg, who oversaw the privatization of the World Trade Center to Lucky Larry, he's also Trump's fundraising. He was fundraising leader for the presidential campaign of Donald Trump in 2016. Remember when Alex Jones told us that Donald Trump was going to expose 9/11? Meanwhile, the guy that gave the World Trade Center to Lucky Larry was the fundraising leader for Donald Trump's campaign with Goldman Sachs, who's teamed up Mnuchin, who's Skull and Bones. Is this not just ridiculous? You see why I get so frustrated with InfoWars and all these Trump shills and all these QAnon idiots? This is the reality of how bad this banker swamp is. So... okay, so Mnuchin, we need to go back now and see Wilbur Ross. Now we're going to move on to Wilbur Ross. So many, and we're almost to the end now. But here's Mnuchin and Fink. So BlackRock, Fink, and Mnuchin gave a speech together, and this was January 2018. Quote, "The remaking of global finance." Well, boy, have they done that. Has Fink and his secret society with Wilbur Ross, who's the Commerce Secretary, and Skull and Bones, Steve Mnuchin, all of them tied in with Federal Reserve and all the top banker criminals and all of the, who else was I thinking? All of them. Eisenberg, Gary Cohn, there's another one, Trump's economic advisor to Donald Trump 2017 was Gary Cohn, another one of the same type of background, I should say. He's Goldman Sachs as well, another long-term Goldman Sachs. And I think he did leave after Trump was being anti-Semitic. which is unbelievable that they say that. Okay, so Wilbur Ross. We're going to talk about Wilbur Ross now, who, remember, is in this BlackRock connected secret society with Larry Fink. We have Wilbur Ross here. Wilbur Ross, United States Secretary of Commerce under President Trump. He used to, early in career, he was a Rothschild Investments. And let me just do a little quick Control F here because I'm not sure. Nope. Okay, Wilbur Ross. Let's play the video from the outtake from Banksta's Paradise about Wilbur Ross and Trump being bailed out by the bankers.
His business empire was crumbling.
The headline was quite accurate. Welcome to the 90s, Donald. Because it was like he got whacked right in the face. It was amazing.
His empire could be at risk of collapse if the New Jersey Casino Commission decides not to approve Trump's bailout plan.
By the fall of 1991, all 3 casinos had filed for bankruptcy.
You know, I had a wife who was suing me for $2 billion. I had the banks, I had this, I had that.
Back in the 1990s, you owed something like $900 million. Your empire was pretty
much more than that.
You owed more than that?
975 was personally guaranteed. That was just the small part. That was the harder debt. But I owed many, many billions of dollars.
So Trump owed $4 billion total, and he was personally liable for $1 billion, as he just said.
The leverage shifted dramatically over to the banks because it was no longer an issue of a bank and a piece of real estate. It was a bank in Donald Trump's actual survival.
So the bankers, and we know who they are, the bankers of New York, I just showed many of them to you, many of the types, bailed out.
It's a bank in Donald Trump's actual survival.
Donald Trump wouldn't have survived. He's a made man. He owes them everything. He would have never been president if he wasn't bailed out by Rothschild's Wilbur Ross. And now Wilbur Ross is the Commerce Secretary. Quid pro quo. This is a financial coup d'etat happening right now. I mean, they've already had full control, but this is just them robbing us blind some more.
Trump owed money all over town to 72 banks in all. Pomerantz represented them as a group.
How close was he to going personally bankrupt?
Very.
To 72 Trump
banks
makes a
in
point
all.
of saying he never went personally bankrupt. But there's a reason why the banks decided to keep Trump whole.
We made the decision that he would be worth more alive to us than dead. Dead meaning in bankruptcy. We don't want him to be in bankruptcy. We want him out in the world selling these assets for us.
So you wanted him alive because he was a salesman and could best sell his own properties.
That's good.
And did Trump turn out to be quite the investment? I think they're seeing their return on investment right now, these bankers that put Trump into power, these Zionist bankers.
Correct. We kept him alive.
New York Times, Donald Trump's business decisions in the 80s nearly led him to ruin. Art of the Spin, Trump bankers question his portrayal of a financial comeback. He didn't have a financial comeback. He was bailed out. He was resuscitated and brought back to life. Too big to fail. He owed in the beginning of 1990, he had owed a combined $4 billion to more than 70 banks, with $800 million personally guaranteed by his own assets. And meet Wilbur Ross, who once bailed out Trump in Atlantic City and is now his pick for Commerce Secretary. How about that? Ross embarked on a strategy that helped Trump avoid a personal bankruptcy that could have derailed his unlikely trajectory from real estate mogul to reality television star to president-elect. Ross spared Trump. Trump was heavily in debt and he started missing bond payments and Atlantic City's largest casino. And Trump was a made man even before this. He got the JNF, the Jewish National Fund Award, in a decade before this in 1982. Company news, Trump enlists help for Taj Mahal plan. Donald Trump has hired Rothschild Inc. to create a plan intended to persuade bondholders of the Trump Taj Mahal casino. Wilbur Ross, senior managing director of Rothschild. Ross, then an investment banker working for Rothschild Inc., helped bondholders negotiate with Trump, whose finances were unraveling. Wilbur Ross was the longtime head of Rothschild and Company's bankruptcy advisory business in New York. He helped dictate the outcomes of big bankruptcies. These guys orchestrate these collapses, the market volatility, they make money up and down. Why did we make a deal with him? Ross insisted that Trump was worth saving. The Trump name is still very much an asset. And boy, is he an asset to them today.
I think bankers look at Trump as a promoter, not as a CEO. At least that's the way I looked at him. And if you talk to other bankers, I think they share that opinion. He's a wonderful promoter. He's the P.T. Barnum of the 21st century.
Donald Trump may have pulled off his biggest deal to date.
Donald Trump had survived. He was too big to fail.
The bankers do not want Trump to file for bankruptcy.
Too big to fail. And now we're seeing all of these big banks too big to fail. Now, this is an excerpt from Active Measures, a documentary about Russia and Russian collusion, basically. And watch how Wilbur Ross comes up with another bank and how it's connected to Trump.
If you can use and capture elite in specific ways, you can accomplish your goals without needing to get public support. The recruiting tool was money.
You see just so much money flowing to Trump.
Junior's love affair with Russia. Money pouring in from
Russia.
Russia.
It's hard to imagine. There's not more to it than just simple generosity.
All his American banks.
All his banks cut their lines of credit. Again.
Cut their lines of credit. Stopped.
This was after he was already bailed out by the Rothschilds too, by the way.
Doing business with him. And one bank steps into the breach as his lender of choice, and that's Deutsche Bank.
They're
From
tied
the perspective of most Western bankers, that was just seen as insane.
He's had a history of making misleading statements to them, threatening them.
Okay, look at this. So Trump has threatened to sue Deutsche Bank, and they're still giving him loans when nobody else would. Very suspect. Money laundering. Deutsche Bank has had huge scandals as well.
Threatening them, they call a loan, he sues them. He fails to pay the loan. He publicly criticizes Deutsche Bank about all this.
He called them predatory lending practices, and then they still gave him a big bailout. Kushner, too.
Yes, but Deutsche Bank sticks with him loyally throughout. Not only that, they also start making loans to his son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
What do you know?
Deutsche Bank has been fined before for participating in Russian money laundering.
The German bank says it's willing to pay over $600 million in fines for its connections to alleged Russian money laundering.
Russian money.
When the scandal erupted at Deutsche Bank about these money laundering operations, the Deutsche Bank CEO was fired.
CEO's fired.
He became the CEO of the Bank of Cyprus.
Okay, now the Bank of Cyprus. That's where Wilbur Ross comes in.
One of the financial institutions through which they launder money.
Who hired him to be the CEO of the Bank of Cyprus? Wilbur Ross, tight supporter of Donald Trump.
Wilbur Ross to the rescue again now, this time with Russian money. And the Rothschilds are invested in Russia as well. And Putin's rabbi, the Chabad Lubavitcher over there, says his claim to fame is that he knows the Rothschilds.
Supporter of Donald Trump, now his Secretary of Commerce.
The practice of overpaying significantly is something that falls into the category of Russian methods.
The man known as the Russian potash king, Rubliov, purchases a property for more than twice what Trump had paid for it.
That's how they pay off.
That's when our country was going through a financial collapse that largely was caused by the real estate market. Did he overpay because Mr. Trump was such a great...
So you guys get it? The market was down. Trump buys a property and then sells it, and then they're paying him off, laundering money through overpaid real estate values.
Negotiator, or was there something else going on?
Never does anything with the property. So the property transaction appears to be nothing more than cover for infusing a cool $100 million into Trump's bank accounts.
Ooh.
This same Rubliov is also a principal owner with Wilbur Ross of the Bank of Cyprus.
Wilbur Ross and the Bank of Cyprus. So, Russiagate, that's a hoax, complete hoax. Oh no, there's lots of, it's the Chabad Soviet Israel mafia that Trump is associated with. That's what's going on here. Okay, so let's see. Did I get through? That was Wilbur Ross. Freaking amazing, right, guys? All of these swamp creatures, all of these bankers, just pathetic. So now here's a little bit more lies from Jones. So remember, Jones told us
Trump has taken over the private Federal Reserve.
Okay. You're wrong, Alex. You're a liar. You're a traitor saying garbage like that. Here's Jones lying about who's behind Clinton and Trump.
All the billionaires, all of them, are giving money. All of them are giving it to Hillary, nothing to Trump. All the billionaires, all of them are giving money.
And when Jones said this, Adelson, the Zionist firster, all he cares about is being a good Zionist and a good citizen of Israel, Trump supporter, Israel firster, gives Trump $100 million. It's headlines in the news, and Jones is on his radio show and saying, all the billionaires are funding Hillary, nothing for Trump. What a freaking liar.
All the billionaires, all of them, are giving money. All of them are giving it to Hillary, nothing to Trump. All the billionaires, all of them, are giving money. All of them are giving it to Hillary, nothing to Trump. All the billionaires, all of them, are giving money. All of them are giving it to Hillary, nothing to Trump. All the billionaires, all of them, are giving money.
Middle East
all
policy.
of them are giving it to Hillary, nothing to Trump. Now, the communist Chinese basically run this.
Adelson, Trump likely to be the best, president for Israel ever.
We're giving it to Hillary, nothing to Trump. Now, the communist Chinese basically run this country. Communist China's got 1.5 billion people. It's taken over our government. It owns Hollywood. It owns the dead.
Owns Hollywood. We know who owns Hollywood. And Trump meets with the king of Hollywood, his agent, Ari Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel's brother, the super agent in Hollywood. Israelis, by the way, also. And also Michael Moore's agent, too.
You go all over the leftist spam stuff. It's Alex Jones is covering up for the Jews. China's not a threat. It's the Jews.
Yep.
Now, the communist Chinese basically run this country the last 20 years until Trump showed up. And so the communist Chinese are being evicted. Hillary.
It's just like an alternate universe. Just a deceptive, fake narrative that he pushes.
Hillary's probably more under Vatican control.
Here's the lies about Hillary, too. It's both sides, not just Trump.
Evicted. Hillary's probably more under Vatican control than anybody else. I mean, the talking points are the Pope's talking points.
Okay. Clinton campaign tally shows 5 top donors are not at the Vatican, Alex.
Talking points.
Hillary's probably more under Vatican control than anybody else.
Oh, give me.
Okay, Hillary's under Vatican control. So now here we have Forbes, the top donors backing Hillary Clinton's super PAC. Look at that list. There's only one in the top 20 that isn't pro-Israel. Or I shouldn't say pro-Israel, but you know what I mean. Top donors to Hillary Clinton campaign are all Jewish. These are all mainstream media. People go, how are you allowed on YouTube? For showing headlines of mainstream media in Ford articles or Forbes.
Give me a break. Of course Clinton was protecting bin Laden. They're all owned by...
Oh, my God.
Oh, give me a break. Of course Clinton was protecting bin Laden. They're all owned by Saudi Arabia. And they're all owned by Saudi Arabia.
They're all owned by Saudi Arabia. U.S. Jews contribute half of all donations to the Democratic Party and 25% to the Republican.
Saudi Arabia, and they're all owned by Saudi Arabia, and they're all owned by Saudi Arabia. And
so the deep state and the Clintons and the Chi-Coms have been controlling us, folks. And Trump is on the move. So the deep state and the Clintons and the Chi-Coms have been controlling us, folks. And Trump is on the move.
You've got really evil control freaks that want to manipulate and control everybody else because they have all the information. They know where the bodies are buried. And then they have people outside of them that they have dirt on who they control, who go out and work for them, just like a mafia. Any cult operates, they just expand out from there. So you've got Jeffrey Epstein is in the second ring here.
Right.
He's not in the ring with the royalty and the Clintons and all the rest of them. I'd say the Clintons got into that.
Okay, so he's saying the Clintons are above Epstein. Meanwhile, it was Epstein who had blackmail on the Clintons. It was Epstein who had the painting in his house of Clinton in the blue dress, I think it was. Give me a break. It's Les Wexner and the Mega Group and Mossad and all the groups. That's who's in the center circle of this blackmail ring. Jones blames it on the Clintons and the royalty and the Chi-Coms. I mean, this is traitorous disinfo from Jones here. International Business Times. Did Israeli Netanyahu try to blackmail President Clinton over Lewinsky sex tapes? Yes.
Final little center area. And you've got all the minions out here that kind of know what's going on.
What Israel's doing, we know that the kings of blackmail. What Israel's doing, we know that the kings of blackmail. Just like Monica Lewinsky and Clinton, we know they were blackmailing them then. Just like Monica Lewinsky and Clinton, we know they were blackmailing them then. Just like Monica Lewinsky and Clinton, we know they were blackmailing them then.
And now, I guess they're blackmailing Trump, and you're blackmailed because you won't tell your audience the truth about it.
We know Israel's the king of blackmail. We know they blackmail Congress and the president all the time. We know Israel's the king of blackmail.
King Bibi. So, that was 10 years ago, by the way, too. Now Jones tells you you're crazy if you talk about that. So here's some we heard the lie from Jones that Trump took over the Federal Reserve. Here's some other of his doozy lines. That one's getting sound bites getting added to the wall of shame of sound bites from Alex Jones. Here's another one.
Now, the communist Chinese basically run this country the last 20 years until Trump showed up. And so the communist Chinese are being evicted out of running Harvard, UT, you name it. That was in the Washington Post last week. Hollywood, you name it. The communist Chinese intelligence.
Communist Chinese run everything until Trump evicted them. Now we have the Muslims run the Federal Reserve. I just showed you all the names and all the bankers. And then Jones is putting out this nonsense with Leo Zagami, the Vatican's behind everything, who attacks me and calls me anti-Semitic and says that I'm wrong about Zionism. Meanwhile, he has Jewish people on his show that talk about QAnon, Third Temple, Moshiach, all the stuff that I talk about.
I know, you used to talk about how powerful the Muslims were, and I didn't believe it, but behind the scenes, they run the Federal Reserve, you name it, they're really coming after us.
I've seen the jihadists and the Saudi Arabian money become so powerful in their influencing of Hollywood and the popular culture that they've basically gained the upper hand even against Zionism.
The Arabs own the world's exchanges. And everybody's running around talking about the Zionists all day. Okay. Just keep parroting that over and over again.
Yeah, he wants to tell you the Arabs run the Federal Reserve and all the stock exchanges and everything. I showed you many of the names going on. This is straight disinfo. And he'll call you anti-Semitic and say, if you say it's if it's another group, he'll be, oh, there's different factions and it's really complex and you can't just paint with a bright. Or he can name the Chi-Coms all day, but won't name the elephant in the room. Here's another top lie from Jones, and we're almost wrapped up here. There's only 2 more clips.
So you're saying Rothschilds are backing Trump versus the eugenics-based Rockefellers?
Exactly. If you kind of look at the people behind...
I got told that by CIA sources 3 years ago. They said, oh, you're backing the Rothschilds. Watch what they're about to do. They're going to try to actually give wealth back to the people.
I got told that by CIA sources 3 years ago. They said, oh, you're backing the Rothschilds. Watch what they're about to do. They're going to try to actually give wealth back to the people.
The Rothschilds are going to give wealth back to the people. His CIA source told him that the Rothschilds, the founders of Israel, Rothschilds, are going to give wealth back to the people. Oh, and they're backing Trump too, which Jones, when I called into Jones's show and told him about Adelson and the Wilbur Ross Rothschild bailout of Trump and the JNF award, he said, what are you reading, Nazi books? Because he's a fraud shill. And here's the last clip from Jones. This one is similar to Trump taking over the Fed. This is Jared Kushner and Donald Trump are taking over Bilderberg Group.
Jared Kushner announced he was going to Bilderberg.
And Jones has always gone to Bilderberg. He's always covered Bilderberg. They've always been the big boogeyman group that he covers the hardest, like CFR and others. And then now when it's Trump sending his people there, it's okay and they're infiltrating. But if it was any other president sending their people, it's conspiring, it's bad. But since he is a lapdog sycophant, 24-hour wall-to-wall coverage for Trump, only minor criticisms here and there, nothing. It actually rationalizes and says Kushner's taken over Bilderberg.
Then I start getting flooded with calls and emails to the office. Oh, my God, Trump sold us out. Kushner's going to Bilderberg. I'm going to say this. I'm going to be very clear.
Be clear.
I would go to Bilderberg if they asked me to go. What matters is what I stand for. Going to a meeting is not being on the agenda. And now they've got to have a representative of Trump inside their confab.
Okay, so here is a Ben Garrison, who I'm not a fan of. He's a Trump shill, and he even does the cartoons about QAnon, too. So here, at least he wrote Kushner and Pompeo going in to meet Kissinger, which Kissinger has been a Trump advisor also. So they're marching into Bilderberg, into the belly of the beast.
Is us seizing the flag, at least at the level of my vision. I see this in the continuum of what Trump's doing and what we're doing, what I'm doing.
Oh, my God.
As victory, we're taking over their end zone. We're taking over their right chancellery. We're taking over their command bases.
What kind of alternate universe is Alex Jones living in? What kind of narrative is he spinning where Donald Trump has taken over the Federal Reserve and Jared Kushner has taken over Bilderberg? I hope this guy, I mean, already with all of his lies and his changing, spinning 180 on issues, he should have no credibility. He should be shamed everywhere. This is repulsive. Disgusting.
We're on the march. The empire is on the run. Now, if I see anything out of Kushner or Trump that's pissing on our sovereignty or our freedom, our values, I'll turn on them like a pit bull on PCP.
Oh, such a scary warning. You'll turn on them if they do anything, if they sign executive orders where you can't criticize Israel. That's not a violation of the First Amendment. You don't say anything about that, even when confronted by high-impact vlogs in the Virginia rally there, gun rally that they had, First Amendment or Second Amendment rally. Or the bailout. He didn't say anything about the bailout either that Trump's doing right now. In fact, he's spinning it that Trump is taking over the Federal Reserve.
Turn on them like...
This is the same argument that I heard him use for Netanyahu, too. If Netanyahu did anything wrong, throw him in jail. I don't care. I'm not in Israeli politics. That's the exact quote. If Netanyahu did anything wrong, give me a break.
I'll turn on them like a pit bull on PCP. But let me give you a little news flash. It ain't going to happen.
Not going to happen.
It's not, folks. It's not. So everybody should just relax. We're conquering Bilderberg right now.
Relax, trust the plan. Jared Kushner conquered Bilderberg. That's your info warrior. That's your alternative media that shills for the establishment swamp zog president.
Jared Kushner is in Switzerland right now. The articles are up on Infowars.com with the full Bilderberg list. Has he sold out to the New World Order?
He's been New World Order.
Is he a traitor? Has Trump sold us out?
Yes.
So the question isn't, is Jared Kushner there? We're conquering that. Kushner is Trump's representative. So I'm not defending Jared Kushner.
Yes, you are.
I'm not attacking Jared Kushner.
I'm neutral. I cover both sides. I have a whole video of Jones on my playlist, on my channel, Infowars Exposed. There's a video, Alex Jones shills for Jared Kushner or something like that. A whole compilation of him shilling, saying, oh, look at Kushner. Isn't he handsome and strong and good looking? It's sick. Shilling for that. Ugh.
Because I elected Trump, you elected Trump. Trump trusts him, and you've got to give the president that support because he's been trying hard and been delivering and doing things that are biblical. In my view.
Biblical, like moving the embassy and being Edom and all the biblical stuff for Israel. Give me a break.
Trump has taken over the private Federal Reserve.
We can't let Jones live this one down. I mean, he's got no shame at this point. But I just want to end with a little prayer, actually, from a featured pastor here in a second. But let me show you some of the verses. This is literally the religion. They call this a trope. Oh, international bankers or international finance. They say, ooh, that's anti-Semitic undertones. Look at the religion. Deuteronomy, Torah, Old Testament, Deuteronomy 15:6. God blesseth thee as he promised thee. This is speaking to his chosen people. This is what they believe, that this is God speaking to Jews, God's chosen people. Thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. Rule the other nations by lending them with usury, is what this verse says. Deuteronomy 23:20. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury. So give your buddies free money so that they can loan it out for interest and make money. And these parasites, these bankers that don't add any value to the system, that don't create anything, produce anything, invent anything, are running everything. Can't allow it to happen. But the Lord thy God had blessed thee, and thou settest thine land whither to go take the land, basically. It says, thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. So only rule over the nations, the Goyim nations, the Gentile nations. If thou hearken unto commandments of the Lord, observe them, do them. And we have, ye shall be named priests of the Lord, the nation of priests, the chosen ones, the supremacists, the racial supremacists. Men shall call you the ministers of our God. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. So take the glory and the riches of the Gentiles. Eat the riches, which is what they're doing with the financial system and the usury. They're able to buy up, collapse everything, cause a depression, and then buy everything up with pennies on the dollar. Isaiah 60:16. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles. I am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. And Isaiah 60:12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Those nations shall be utterly wasted. It's pure supremacy and world domination. Isaiah is the prophet. They're trying to fulfill their Moshiach, their temple, their end times prophecy, the Noahide laws. Who will not serve them shall perish. All right. We're going to end with Trump. This was Trump yesterday, warning that it's going to be a hard couple weeks coming up here.
2 weeks. I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. And then hopefully, as the experts are predicting, as I think a lot of us are predicting after having studied it so hard, you're going to start seeing some real light at the end of the tunnel. But this is going to be a very painful, very, very painful 2 weeks. When you look and see at night the kind of death that's been caused by this invisible enemy, it's incredible. I was
the invisible enemy, declaring war on the invisible enemy.
Watching last night Governor Murphy of New Jersey say 29 people died today, meaning yesterday, and others talking about numbers far greater. But you get to know a state. I know New Jersey so well, and you hear 29.
Okay, so Trump says it's going to be a hard couple weeks. And I thought that was put out yesterday, but that could be, I feel like that's maybe a little old. All right, let's end with the prayer. We got coronavirus, guys. We need to end on a light note. This has been a heavy video. Please, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments about the Blackstone, the pharmaceutical companies, all of the Skull and Bones, the secret society, all these connections. It's deep. This is heavy stuff. It is not looking good. We really need to get the word out, be vigilant, spread this information, get other people to talk about this swindle, put the pressure on Alex Jones especially. Jones, by the way, I did a video about QAnon the other day, exposing Jones and QAnon, and he's been ranting all about that. I'll have to do a video on that soon. But here we're going to end with Kenneth Copeland. He is going to get rid of coronavirus. We're going to end with that. Here we go.
In the name of Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Standing in the office of the prophet of God, I execute judgment on you, COVID-19. I execute judgment on you, Satan, you destroyer, you killer. You get out. We break your power. You get off this nation. I demand judgment on you. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Yes. He demands a vaccination to come immediately. Immediately. And this is Kenneth Copeland, a total scam artist that's multimillionaire, mansions, $1,000 suits, private jet. And then when the video I played the other day, people are losing their jobs. He goes, that's not what pays your bills. Your job doesn't provide for you. Jesus provides. Now tithe, give me the money no matter what you do. Don't stop paying me. And this is just a little prayer to end with to get rid of coronavirus, and we're wrapping it up.
A vaccination to come immediately.
Yes. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not taking it.
I call you done. I call you gone. You come down from your place of authority, destroyer. You come down and you crawl on your belly like God commanded you when he put his foot on your head.
Okay, is Copeland possessed? Like, this is a performance. This might be a private jet tier performance here. This is powerful.
In the Garden of Eden.
The Garden. Was that Yoda? In the Garden of Eden.
Destroy through COVID-19. No more.
No more. No more.
This is what we need to defeat COVID-19.
Is finished. It is over. And the United States of America is healed and well again.
Do you feel healed, America? Does everybody feel better now? I hope that was comforting and relieving. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with it. It's a info-packed show. NoMoreNews.org for the videos, for the contact, the donate page. I'll have a new t-shirt design out soon. We got follow on BitChute, No More News 2, the backup channel, D-Live for the live streams. And there's a few ways to support there. The P.O. box on the donate page. Thanks, everybody, for making it all possible. I love you all. I will see you guys again soon. Make sure to like and share and comment below. I will see you guys again very soon. Take care.